Okay, so now that you have seen some tools, I want you to put those into practice and try to create something that you can actually use. And so we're going to start with just a micro lesson. Okay, you can use micro lessons and flipped lessons, of course. Micro lessons would be like what we would call mini lessons, except they're even shorter than a mini lesson. A micro lesson is going to be no more than 2 or 3 minutes max. It is a visual and a verbal reminder of what kids learned in class. I mean, let's face it, how many of them do not remember what you say in class? And so they need to be reminded. If we can't remember how to pay a bill or we can't remember how to get to a certain place, we can look that up on the internet. And so there's no reason that kids shouldn't be able to do that as well. So these micro lessons serve to do this for them and give them little reminders or reviews of what it was. Oh, yeah, now I remember what she said. Um, so they cover only one skill or one piece of content. So, like one math concept, like even when you're starting a new math unit, I'm sure that there are several pieces in that unit that you have to teach. I know that when we start writing stories, there are 5 or 6 different pieces I have to teach to get them to pull the entire piece of writing together. So we're only focusing on one. They're very short 2 or 3 minute videos. Then you can collect those and put them into different categories so that the kids can go back and look at the ones that they need to. Well, I remember what she said about the first paragraph, but what about the third paragraph? Or I remember what she said about this math problem, but how do I do this one now that this is different? And so it allows them to kind of pick and choose and individualize their learning that way. They're taking ownership for their learning because they choose the ones that they need to review and watch. Um, so the micro lessons can also be used to fill in the gaps. So if somebody was absent one day, you have those skills broken down. Um, and then, like I said, you can curate them in one place to create the entire lesson from start to finish. Okay. And then the other thing that the micro lesson does that I really like is it gives the kids access to the help when and where they need it. We have resources as adults to get help when we need it and where we are, no matter whether our teacher is working or whether our boss is working or not, we have places that we can get information. And so the kids should be the same way. They need their teacher 24/7, even when we are not necessarily on the clock. And so this gives them a way to do that. And I feel like the flipped lesson allows them to do that as well because they can go back and watch those lessons. So I don't want you to focus on the entire flipped lesson. I just want you to focus on a micro lesson because the goal of this training is to use one of the tools that we learned about to just use the tool. So I want you to focus on one thing. Maybe it's a few vocabulary words. Maybe it's just a couple of math problems or one particular thing in science. So just focus on one thing and go back and pick one of the tools that we talked about and try to create a micro lesson about that one skill or concept. And then I want you to post it on Padlet. You simply share whatever it is, everything that I've shown you today, you're able to share with a link. And so I want you to post that onto Padlet for everyone else to enjoy and to learn from as well. Okay, so your assessment and the proof of completion will be the short multiple choice mini quizzes that you've been taking all along the way. And then those would be like the formative assessments along the way. And then your summative assessment will be the micro lesson that you create using one of these tools. Okay, so I hope that you have found some great things to be inspired about, and I hope that we can continue to make learning fun. Thanks for joining.